Hi, everybody. Welcome to Next to Media. I'm Mike Shields. My guest this week is Pinterest's Chief Content Officer, Malik Ducard. Hey, Malik, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Excited to talk to you. I keep hearing really interesting things about Pinterest. Obviously, I've been following the company for a long time, but feels like you're having a bit of a moment maybe right now. But I think probably it's worth starting. I think for folks in the industry that know Pinterest but are not like heavy users, they might wonder, why do they have a chief content officer? Isn't it all UGC? They don't make shows or write stuff. So that's a long way of asking, like, what is your job all about? Tell us what you do there.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me. And I've been at Pinterest now for a little bit over 3 years. I'm the first chief content officer. So we didn't have a chief content officer before I arrived, and the company
Cool. So you
really
create the job, you can make it your own.
create the job, make it in my own, and it was really a sign and a signal of Pinterest really being much more intentional about content and recognizing that content comes from many different types of constituents, whether it's creators, merchants, publishers, brands, advertisers, and also content comes in from many pipelines as well. And we really wanted to have a focus on really growing that content base, and not just growing content for content's sake, but really growing it for our pinner base. We call our users pinners.
Yep.
And I think one thing that's so unique about Pinterest compared to other platforms is that when our users, our pinners, come through the front door of the platform, they really, really come with intent in mind. They come to do something, to create something, to make something big.
It's a purpose oriented kind of crowd
It's
here.
purpose. And if I had to imagine like what's the posture of a user coming to Pinterest, it would be leaned in
Yeah.
to the platform, and many other platforms are much more leaned back. So the content really maps to that type of mindset, and that's what we focus on within content at Pinterest.
So you mentioned you've been at the company a few years now. Give us your journey. How'd you end up in this role that you got to start, and what's your digital background like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, I mentioned, yeah, I've been at Pinterest for about 3 years. Prior to Pinterest, I was at YouTube for almost 11 years in content and content partnerships.
Talk about a period of change at YouTube.
Yeah, I was there when creators were hobbyists before the creator economy, and then it grew
Yeah.
into, and yeah, that was a really, really interesting time. And past few years when I was at YouTube, the area that I led included areas like family and kids and social impact and health and education, and it was really the positive corner of
Yeah.
of YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to move to Pinterest, which is the positive and inspirational corner of the internet.
Yeah.
And it's been a great transition, and yeah, been here 3 years since.
Very cool. If you can, it may be difficult to generalize, but when you go to, compared to the early days when I feel like it was very much all UGC, I think, versus like a real class of creators or Pinterest being involved, like what does the makeup of content look like right now?
It's really a mix, and the way we think about it is in sort of almost like three parts. You have our pinners, our users who come to the platform for inspiration and to do things. You have our content suppliers, and that is a mix from creators to merchants to publishers and others. And then you have our advertisers, and content really comes from all of those constituents in a lot of ways, from pinners as well, who pin content and share content to their boards onto the platform, or save it to their profiles. It also comes from advertisers who are sharing content organically and also in a paid fashion as well. I think one of the interesting things is across those three constituents of pinner, content supplier, and advertiser, it's not mutually exclusive. And you really
Okay.
discovering that it's more of a profile of each when they're having that type of engagement and activity, but you will find an advertiser who's also providing content, and you'll find a pinner who is also a merchant, and
So
merchants
you're
are
going from you're changing hats as you use this platform at different times and sessions.
exactly.
Okay, so this again something probably very difficult to generalize, but like with a lot of call it social media or entertainment platforms, like you'll see creators have a home and then they kind of do versions. Like if I'm a YouTuber, I'll do TikTok, I'll do Instagram. Is there something that really works on Pinterest that can be replicated elsewhere? Is there a formula like the vlogger became a thing on YouTube and there was a format that kind of emerged as standard? What is it? What is a great? What really works on Pinterest?
You know what I would say is that on Pinterest, it's really about the content itself and the expertise that's in the content, the guidance that the content provides. Like there's a lot of sort of how-to ethos on the platform
Yep.
where content will take a person from a notion of a thing to actually doing the thing. And one way I've thought about it is on Pinterest, it's really about content with personality as much as it is personalities with content. Like if you are a content person, creator, provider, and let's say you want to show how you're making tuna casserole, uh, on some platforms, if you're doing a tuna casserole, you also better have a good dance and a good joke to go along with it. You have to have other things other than being a great tuna casserole. On Pinterest, it's the content that matters. It's the guidance that matters. It's the authenticity and the expertise that goes into it. So content with personality as much as personalities with content.
So many platforms go through like an evolution where maybe they're not sure how the creator world fits in. They really embrace them. They facilitate deals. They let them do their own thing. Again, probably hard to summarize, but what is like the state of creators on Pinterest? I imagine it's evolved a bit. Is it much more professionalized? Is it much broader than we might know? Like, what does it look like right now, that landscape?
Yeah, I would say that the landscape really is a range, and it goes back to the content itself and what the content is looking to convey. And I would say it starts with the users because our users are coming to look to do something. The type of content that you find really resonates on Pinterest is that kind of content that takes people from an idea to an actuality and the realization of that idea. So that means that that content is coming from uh, sort of a UGC end of the spectrum as much as it's coming from a more traditional publisher end of the spectrum as
Right.
well, and everything in between. But I think that that's what defines content on Pinterest most is what it's trying to convey over what category it's specifically in. And because like curation is so fundamental to the platform, curation is a form of creation also. And really, Pinterest is the only curation platform that is out there. That has curation to the extent and the degree that we do. There are over 10 billion boards on the platform, and boards are format that bring together what the pinner is saving sort of in their own personal or shared surface area. So on that board, you may get a video, you may get an image, you may get a YouTube link and video
Right.
right side by side with an Instagram, but it's what's that board trying to convey and what's it doing for the user is really what stands tall in the platform.
So that's sort of inherent to the experience is that the creator or just any user is crafting what they want people to see with a bunch of different elements and telling a story that way.
100%. And not only is that helpful for that pinner, Like, let's say I am, going to a party or a weekend, a wedding weekend, and I'm thinking through my outfits. Or let's say I'm planning a wedding, I'll have a board or a series of boards, and maybe I can collaborate with somebody on the boards or revisit the board for myself. And the data is really interesting because you'll also be able to, or by I mean, our systems are able to really see associations of one piece of content to another piece of content. These shoes go with this pair of pants, goes with this, blouse and this hat. And that type of signal, 10 billion boards, 1.5 billion saves a week at scale, actually helps us to understand the user intent and the content itself.
You need to have some boards where people in the industry, when they're planning their first trip to Cannes, you can help them get their clothes ready and their shopping. I can see that being
I,
a
I,
real
I
a
I have
niche.
done that actually. I've gone to Cannes in, many lives, many different years. But when I got to Pinterest was actually the first time I went to Cannes Lion. Go to Cannes for MIPCOM and the
Uh
film
huh.
festival. And I was just like, well, how do
You
they
need some help.
how do they dress a Cannes Lion?
Yeah.
And I went to Pinterest, created a board. And there have been other scenarios where I have like three sons, all Gen Z, and they're all pretty fashionable, but especially one. And I've had collaborative boards with him where he'll throw things in there to give me advice to up my game a little bit. So boards have a lot of different
Great.
use.
That's funny. I want to ask you about the inclusion fund. Tell folks what that's all about.
Yeah, so we've been doing the inclusion fund since 2021, and this was really our effort to support emerging content suppliers, emerging merchants, to really help them to understand the platform, have support around the platform, and grow on the platform. There's a fund component to it. It's called the Inclusion Fund.
Yeah.
But it's also like I'd say that the support and the insights and almost like the lab type setting where we do education and training on, hey, here's how you can drive your merchant business on Pinterest. Here's how you can add your products and really leverage Pinterest to build your business. We've seen some really great results and great retention out of that, both for the platform and with the participants in the fund. And I think we've worked with over like 200 content suppliers
Wow.
over the years within the fund.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably a little daunting if you don't speak the language and know the lay of the land. Yeah, when you're getting going, that's got to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of platforms sort of wrestle with how best to do this. How much do you get involved with connecting brands to creators versus staying out of the way versus having tools to help those things kind of come to fruition? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So this is one of those areas that is a really big opportunity, and it really goes back to what I was saying about creators earlier on. That creators and content suppliers on Pinterest are really focused on uh, actionability, helping to inspire users with ideas, and then taking them through the steps to actually do the idea and realize that idea. So brands connecting with them is really important. And one stat that like really is interesting is that of searches, product searches on Pinterest, 96% of those searches are unbranded, meaning that if you are looking for jeans, you're not looking for, XYZ pair of jeans, you're looking for jeans.
Right,
So
you're not all the way at the bottom of the funnel yet. You're
yeah,
you're you're figuring things out.
you're figuring things out. So creators have an opportunity there, brands have an opportunity there to help that user down the funnel to make a decision. So what are some ways that creators are doing this and we're supporting that? There agencies that creators work with and that we work with to help match make. That's one. We've also built a tool called the Paid Partnerships tool that's essentially like a handshake tool that connects the brands with the creators in an elegant way. And then, just given that leaned in posture of our users and how creators are mapping to that and working with that, a lot of creators have their own products or their own shops or
Yeah.
their own owned and operated or their own affiliations, so that the traffic that Pinterest provides helps the creators to turn that into maybe commerce for themselves
Yeah.
through shops or affiliate revenue as well. And Pinterest, over the past few years, we've gone through a really important evolution where we have really leaned in to this type of use case, this type of support. We are a visual search platform and an engine, and through that, we want to get you to where you're going,
Yeah.
uh, and what you're looking for, whether that is on the platform or especially off the platform. 3 years ago, we really wanted people on the platform in more of a social media kind of.
Yeah. You wanted people to hang out and stay. Right.
We wanted people to hang out and stay, and links off platform just kind of became a little less potent, a little more below the
Right.
fold. And we really have come around, full circle, or I guess half circle, what 180 to the other
Yeah.
side, where not only are links above the fold, so to speak, and our systems are actually now designed to get you to where you're going. So if you're looking to buy something, we'll send you to that retailer through a link or an affiliate link, or to maybe the blog from the creator that you were looking for to get more information, because Pinterest is really at that center of search, social, and commerce, but it isn't social solely. And
Right.
that's
I guess the trick is to how do you know when somebody is in the I'm just looking at outfits for a potential trip versus I'm going this, in a month and we need to pull the trigger. You must I imagine you were able to figure out where stage people are in.
that has been a big focus of the company, is to understand exactly what you just said.
Right.
Where is the user on that journey? Is the user grazing, surfing, looking for, kind of like broad ideas, or are they more in the middle of the journey, or are they at the end of the journey? And a lot of the work that we've done around even like leveraging machine learning to understand how to make the right recommendation for the right user at the right time. Going back to what I shared about, boards, those signals on the boards, when you have a range of content at this level of scale, really help to instruct our systems to be able to make better and better recommendations to users, yeah, at the right time. But
Right.
what
That's when machine learning shines, right? When you've got a lot of data to make it. Tell me about recently you had an interesting gift guide campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works? A little bit different than perhaps the things we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's different, but it's also like within the same, zone of commerce, search, and social. So with gift guides over the holiday season, we work to really program and curate 1,000 holiday gift guides for our users, which came from, a lot of different sort of pipelines, from publishers, from celebrities like Alicia Keys and others, and also gift guides that we created directly as well, to really help show, great shopping opportunities for our users through these gift guides. And it really moved the needle in a major way in giving users at a critical time period great turnkey ways to find gifts for their loved ones, their friends, and even themselves. And it doesn't stop with holiday. This is something that, on the heels of success that we saw over holiday, we're continuing
Uh-huh.
on with this as well. And actually, in February around Valentine's Day, we had a great gift guide from Grammy artist Troy Sivan,
Oh, cool.
where he really brought users kind of into the path of how he created this fragrance, and that's part of a gift guide, and specifically a product drop that we did where we really helped to show the behind the scenes of a content, an initiative, or a product like what Troy Sivan was dropping.
Are there any, you made me think of this, are there any categories or topics that people might be surprised have a robust activity on Pinterest? People think of travel obviously and home decor and things like that. Are there any areas that you might be surprised at?
You know what? I think people would be surprised at the depth of engagement across a lot of different types of verticals and genres and interests. And I don't know if this is a surprise that this might be obvious, but it doesn't hurt to state the obvious. Like fashion is really big. Like Pinterest
Sure.
is a place of cultural zeitgeist where people are looking for not only what's happening now, but what's going to be happening as well. And I'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But I think fashion is big category. Home, a big category. Home decor, food and beverage, like recipes, is
Sure.
massive on the platform. Then you also have categories like music and art, and here's what you don't have on music. Like you don't come to Pinterest to listen to the latest great track from so and so.
Right.
Music is big because you come to Pinterest to see the aesthetic around the music video, the aesthetic around the artist.
Interesting.
Like with Coachella's coming up in a few months. People come to Pinterest for festival gear, festival inspiration, and because on Pinterest saving is so like big, 1.5 billion saves a week. When you think about like what in life, what is it, what are the things that you save, what are the things that you put into that drawer, they are things that you want to come back to, things that
Yeah.
you do, things that you want to buy, things that you plan to do. So that saving behavior is a little bit of a crystal ball because you're saving it for later. It's more powerful than an ephemeral like. So we have something called Pinterest Predicts, for example, where we actually look at that information in aggregate and share where are things going, what are
You've
people.
got a pulse on some of potential trends
we,
in
we,
those
we have
areas.
a real pulse on those potential trends, and you see it bubble up like in the near term as well when people prepare for something, like a Coachella, for example.
Interesting. I want to come back to social commerce. We were talking about how, I think for a number of years, I've said this before, people were wondering whether this was gonna, it was always, oh, it's always big in Asia. Maybe it's coming here soon. It's definitely had a breakout last couple of years. What do you think? Did something change? Is this generational, better tech? Why is this happening now? And maybe where do you see it heading?
I think one thing that's happening now is that people are looking for a few things in a sea of toxicity that's out there in
Yep.
social media world. I think people are looking for something more positive and inspirational. Like we strongly believe that there's going to be a retreat from rage, and that like rage and anger is not from a business standpoint, it's not a sustainable business
No.
model. So I think that people, users, businesses, brands are looking for better. And so crossing that over with social commerce, I think people are looking for more joy in their shopping, in their commerce. I think that when you look out at the landscape, there's a lot of great transaction. There's a lot of great buying. But when I think back to like going to the mall, and malls are coming back, I think
Yeah.
for for
Amazingly.
for this reason, like people are looking for that joy of connection, that joy of the experiential joy. And I think the internet has gotten like hyper efficient in buying, which is great. But we think, Pinterest, we have a real opportunity, and this is what we're working on delivering on. This is our experience to have joy and shopping be together in an experience where you can see the inspiration, but then also walk through those stages of the funnel to actually do it and have fun in the funnel.
Right.
And I think that this notion of like fun and joy, we've been missing out on it, and we're seeing that more and more. Look, one thing, just to go back a
Yeah.
little bit, sort of 3 years ago, so Pinterest is a place of shopping. Like
Sure.
50% of our users come to Pinterest to shop, like over 50%. A couple years ago, that was expressed and experienced more as coming to Pinterest to window shop, because the stores were actually closed.
Yeah, sure.
You would see something great, but then not have an
You were
ability
longing for
to,
that moment to be able to do that stuff.
and you couldn't on Pinterest or with Pinterest.
Yeah.
And over the past few years, we've been spending a lot of time and work building out that bottom half of the funnel so that you can complete that experience with Pinterest. Not swipe your credit card on Pinterest. No, not that, but actually go to the merchant, go to the retailer, go to the brand. And that's been, I'd say, one of our biggest, sort of business stories and shifts that's driven, real opportunity, for and with our partners and for pinners.
Yeah. Well, I'm all for more joy. So it's a hopeful note to end on. But Malik, thanks so much for an awesome conversation and taking the time out
Hey,
here.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Let's do this again. Thank you.